Maize cob is image number 160 in our Indigenous Americas Unit 5 set. And we see here the cob is on the right, the cobs rather, there are two of them. This context is that maize, as you probably already know, was the most important crop to Native peoples in the Americas, particularly Central and South America. And it was the crop that allowed Native peoples to settle down and be agrarian rather than nomadic. So on the left here, we have Jacob Pauley, who you may know, he's a senior this year. He is holding an ancient maize cob. The piece that we have shows the cobs in pretty natural form and size. And not all maize was the size that we buy in the supermarkets today. So Jacob's holding a cob that was probably 600 years old, and that's its size. Pretty cool. So the form, we notice that these are ready to be picked cobs. The husks are removed so that you can see the inside of the corn kernels, which they think have been placed there individually by hand. And they're made out of silver and copper so that over time the kernels and the husks would kind of age, and so it looks pretty genuinely realistic. Inca art is known to be naturalistic, and these are, like I said, life size, about 25 centimeters. The function of this art piece is that it was an offering to Coricancha, or in the Coricancha temple in Cusco that we looked at just in our last set in Cusco. And we see here in the center, right here is probably a person of high status in a room that's layered with gold, making a prayer to the sun god. And we know this to be true because Pedro Pizarro, who was Francisco Pizarro's page and nephew, wrote, "In part of the chamber in which the sun slept, they had a small field. At the time when they celebrated at their festivals, they filled this garden with corn stalks made of gold, which they kept stored for use in those times." So in that Coricancha temple, they had an actual little garden, and they put real and these pieces of art. So real, what am I trying to say? Oh my goodness, flowers, corn, and then this corn that was not real. That was more art. And they made offerings to the god with it. Okay, more context here. Coricancha, the Incan main temple, you see here, we saw it in our last set. This is the original piece, and this is the top that was added on by Spaniards, Christian monastery and church, Santo Domingo. And I might have misspoken in the last video when I said that the exterior was lined with gold. Instead, it was the interior that was lined with gold and was silver. And this is a digital replica of what that might have looked like. So that garden statues that I talked about, right, in gold. There's also evidence or discussion that there might have been life-size statues of people in gold and silver. And it was very intricate. For example, there were butterflies that were suspended in lines to make it look like they were lifelike. And these gold, silver maize cobs would also have given it a kind of a shimmering, lifelike quality. More context, the conquistador Pizarro, Francisco Pizarro, who came to Peru looking for the wealth of Peru, he captured the leader, the Inca, who was Atahualpa and demanded that the Incans give over a room filled with gold and 2 rooms filled with silver. And the Incans did this. And despite the ransom that was paid, the Inca Atahualpa was killed, executed in a really gruesome fashion. So here is a rendition, a line drawing showing Pizarro here in front of the Inca Atahualpa. So it's thought that much of that gold and silver actually came from that temple to the sun, Coricancha. And one of the Maize cobs would have been part of that ransom. It's believed that one of the Maize cobs was given to the which one of Spain? Henry? No, not Henry. Goodness gracious! Oh my gosh, it's going to kill me now that I don't know it. The fifth. Oh man, of Spain. But what's happened is that in the 1970s, 2 cobs materialized in New York with art dealers, and they were sold to 2 museums. This one in the center was sold to the Denver Art Museum, and this one here that's in our set on the left was sold to the Berlin Art Museum. Now, what's come up in 2017 since this coursework, these 250 pieces were created for AP Art History, is that there's an alleged allegation that the piece that we have in our set is not real and that it was a forgery. Perhaps it was made from metals that were used at the time, but we're not sure about this. So it's kind of out there. It's an interesting context about this piece. Okay, that's the Maize cobs.